If anyone wants to speak about anything, or any kind of riff, let me know. Yeah. I just talked to a friend of mine. He was talking about, he was at some kind of meeting, and they were talking about being the observed and seeing the thoughts and uh, how to disengage from the thoughts. Yes, there's always going to be work. If there's an ER after something, like observer, observing, yeah, whole different ball game. But once the observing is seemingly turned into the observer, yeah, just more and more stuff will be added. Yes, yes, and that's then they bring out the pure awareness and the radical awareness and the non-observable, observable awareness. And yeah, it just goes on and on. This is just simple, really simple. What's being presented and reinforced in the head's not you. And because it's actually true, it's going to trigger a migration of interest. And then you're going to observe different things. And the observing of different things is going to question the idea of being the observer. Yeah. And there you go. And then it'll be a Tuesday in Novato. Yes, that's it is. I've signed up for an eight week course of non-duality. I'm feeling a little pressure. I don't think I got it, and it's only 1 week left. Yeah. I can't refund my money. That's a lot of pressure. So let me go at this again simply because I'm sitting here and time is the main ingredient of the magic trick. Yes. So through time, things that aren't real can seem to be real. Things that will never appear continue to appear. Time has a lot of to do with the whole event of the dreaming. Yes. So basically, if you heard other older people, not meaning time, but before us, where they would talk about dreaming, the dreaming obviously has space and time. Yeah. Foundational for the dreaming because you need space to see things in and you need time to see them. Yeah. So this idea of time, we're very familiar with it. We felt it quite a lot. Every time we're on an airplane trip, you feel the effects of time. The plane's going super fast, but time's going seemingly super slow. And the faster you're going, the more excruciating the time takes to go. Yeah, we all are familiar with it. But that which is familiar with it is a product of it. Yeah, the feeling of Paul is a product of time. Yeah. What would happen if you appointed the product to review and investigate the product? There would just be more product, yeah? So I humbly feel that where we start, every one of us is in time. Yeah. The idea of Mike as a person who has done things and now is not doing things, and Jim and Paul, that's of time. That is not the timeless speaking in time. That is of time. Yeah. That feeling, like the spacesuit, the action figure. Yeah. Knowing that, you tend to move away from the action figure. You're not going to attempt to advance it or get it more refined or anything like that. You lose interest in all that. And then there's a sense of you start seeing or becoming aware of what was where you used to look from. Yeah. It just goes with it. And then a lot gets revealed there. Yeah. Because now you were placed in you've been triangulated in a certain space and time as a thing, yes? So the thing triangulates space and time. And then there's almost like a zooming in, interested attention wise, and basically it distorts everything else. So there's a large amount of importance given to this thing in space and time, and then that importance is almost like a veiling mechanism. So you're not really seeing things clearly, obviously. If the seeing things is unclear, literally, yeah. Like the Course would say, the eyes that see the world are not your eyes. Yeah. So the eyes that see are facilitating a vision of things are not your eyes. Your eye is singular or whatever, and it's awareness, let's say. Yeah. So self, obviously, if there isn't a self, and there never was a self, and there never will be. So there is not going to be a conglomeration that solidifies as a thing, a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. But what the head does in time, it implies that's already so. This is the trick, yeah? So you're already tattooed thinking about getting a tattoo, so to speak. So you've been tattooed in a way. And now, when you hear about observing, you hear it as an observer. Yes? This is what makes observing like an effort. When observing has no effort in it. Yeah? Awareness is awareing. Yeah? But once there's sense of being the awareness or being the observer, then what happens? Heaviness gets included, and then there's things to do. Yeah. And there's things not to do, and so on and so forth. So humbly, what I saw was the mental claiming is mechanical, and it's also pretty fast in time. And before we recognize we're the unborn, as a great master talked about, we recognize everything as the born, as Paul. So that Paul is of time. It's not going to see time. It's of time. Yeah? You're manufactured in a way. And then we start there. So the claiming of what's going on is so fast that the time we start to try to notice it, we are the manufactured point, seemingly. Yes? You see it? You see the futility of trying to know the unknown from the knowable. It just doesn't work. It's not going to budge. Yeah. And that this mental process of claiming uh, sees everything as a noun. Yes. And the noun now sees verbs as something it did or should have done or shouldn't have done. Yes. So the presupposing, as it says in that old thing from Ramana's teachings, the presupposing of the non-existent thing, that's very meaningful, the word presupposing. Yeah. So it's just, yes, there's an assumption that's pre-assumed. So the assumption gets pre-assumed before, and then how you get, so that pre-assumed assumption now is the one that's entertaining the assumption. So now the assumption is thinking, why do I have this assumption? Or maybe if I change my assumptions. Yes, you see it? So the presupposing of the assumption is the starting point. Yeah. So the claiming infects, that process moves and affects other processes, like processes of knowledge, of perception, of understanding. Now that process infects the process that comes after it. And as this proceeds, there's a need to get relief from the process. Yes? The process continuing as you, this long lasting, independent, separate entity, triggers a lot of need to get relief from. It does. Some people, you get, so let's call it in AA, we call it irritable restlessness and discontentment. This stuff starts becoming like a chronic underlying condition. you're irritable, restless, discontent, and you want relief, yes? And you want relief from that process of self, but the only way you can entertain relief is as the process of self. Yeah? So now relief or freedom is used to reinforce the bondage. So the first process infects the second process. And by the time the third or fourth process, basically you're in the business of processing of trying to get out of self. Literally, yes, trying to get some relief. Yeah. So every process has now been infected with the idea that you're a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. And when you want to get out of that first effect, you're going to try to get out of it as a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. That's the bondage. Yeah. We don't have to change it. You just have to see it. That's all. If you see it, you're seeing it. You're not looking from it. And when you see it, you will know there was a whole lot of looking from it. The message is gonna tie up a lot of fucking strings. It will, like that, very quickly. Yes? When you see where you used to look from, what you used to look from, there's a distinct thing that you've been searching for. Yeah. Now, how you searched for it was reinforcing interest in self. This view takes away the interest in self. Finally, you finally fall upon how it works. Yeah. Before, how it works had been co-opted by this bondage of self. That's presupposed. Yeah. So now you are trying to get out of something as that something. Yeah, which is good luck. It doesn't, it inevitably fails, and that's the value, really. So now you see that, and then suddenly you really get the flavor of mechanicalness. What you have been presented to be somehow having a lot to do with stuff, you have very little. There's really mostly everything is the system is on and it runs a certain way. Yeah. It's not, you're not there choosing and pulling levers and shit like that. It's just like the toy, it's like the thing in like San Diego Zoo where you get in there and there's gonna be, you're on a boat and there's about 8 other people on the same boat, and each person has the steering wheel. That seems weird. And now you're gonna go off and you're going to go down a waterway, and then a hippopotamus may jump out, and everyone completely believes they're driving the boat and they made a big mistake. Yet it's driven by a computer and you're just having the story. It's sort of like the dreaming in a way. Yeah. You pay for the dreaming just like you pay for that ride, literally. So it would have been cool if a process that came after the first process could have negated the first process, but I don't see that. I don't see that happening. I see the third or the fourth or the fifth or the 80th process is infected with the first process being a noun, seriously. And then you may hit like the fifth or sixth process would be chanting, I'm not a noun, but sooner or later you'd realize you were chanting, I'm not a noun as a noun. Yeah, yeah, so you're gonna fall over this little hiccup. All the whole lifelong processy progression, you're gonna you're gonna trip on this hiccup. Yeah, it just because the only way you can't apply something after it to change it. Yes, it's been obvious, hundreds and hundreds of years of people practicing in this Zoom of tons of shit. Yeah. Now the new wave for the last 15 years is ceremonies and psychedelics, and that wave was 3,000 years ago, ceremonies and psychedelics. It just swings and comes to an end and then starts over again. It's like fashion. Yeah, these girls they're wearing the high pants. They're thinking they really got it going. New that was in the 70s. The same freaking look, exactly. They just the costume doesn't have to be expensive. Our willingness to fall for it is optimal. Yes. So okay, what would happen if you realized that everything you did, like Ramana said, your spiritual practices themselves are reinforcing this presupposing? How is it going to destroy it? Yeah. If you've seen that enough, what's holding that is not what you're not, it's what you are. That sense is where you're going to build the new church, so to speak. Yeah. Yes. And stop worshiping these idols and shit. It's just going to be all the observing in the world does not make an observer. Yeah. All the thinking does not make a thinker. All the feeling does not make a feeler. Yes. Feelings can go on and on and on and on and on. Not at not one point do they produce a feeler. Yes. So all that we feel has been manufactured is imagined, literally. That's part of the manufacturing. And it starts getting undone when you see it from before the product, before the conveyor belt, not after the conveyor belt. Yeah. Because then you already start with a thing and then you want to become a non-thing. That doesn't work. Yeah. The idea is first there is no mountain, then there is a mountain, then there is no mountain, then there's the mountain again. It doesn't start with first there is a mountain. It's not first there is a thing, then there'll be a no thing, but then there'll be a thing again. No, it starts with first there is no mountain, first there is no thing. Yeah, yeah. Somebody cut that first stanza out. It's very important. The first there's a no, the negation of anything. Somehow it slipped in. It was supposed to open up like a four-leaf clover, and you got a three-leaf weed with the other one. Yes, another, and you smoked it. The mental, oh yes, there is a mountain, and I'm going to be the one that's going to finally destroy that mountain. Oops, there's the mountain again. Let's go on and on and on and on. So, uh, and really, the awareness gets so bright through loss of interest. Yeah. The loss of interest in this thing and as this thing, the awareness has always been radically pure and everything. There's no sullying it. It's how it's what it's moving seemingly through is the uh that dirties it in a sense. So now you see that it's always been untouched, and then obviously it's always going to be untouched, and it always was untouched, and all that. Yes. And now this either or, like trying to balance something on a boat in rough seas. Yeah. This either or, you lose interest in both. Yeah. You lose interest. Like someone yesterday talked to me about there is no separation. But where does that statement come from? A strong feeling of separation. So you want to say the opposite as an antidote. There is no separation. Well, there's neither. There's no separation, nor is there separation. Yeah. And basically, neither of them attract much interest anymore. Yes. You don't get fooled by the two, the 2P thing. Remember the old three thing? Now it's non duality, it's two thing. Separate, non separate, neither. You don't care really. Yeah, you're just waiting for the salt to be passed at the dinner table. Separate, not separate. I like to have some more soup. Yeah. At that moment, the soup is more important than the philosophy of separate or non-separate. Yeah. Uh, so if you come to this conclusion, as I have, that you when there's a sense of you've missed some time, the time that it took to manufacture you. And now you're trying to see the you that was before time, but there was no you before time. Yeah. You're a product of time. So the timeless is not available to you. Yeah. That's why they say you're never going to get it. It's not a punishment that you earn by doing terrible things. You're never going to get it because you can't get it. Yeah. You're not of it. Yes. You're of a manufacturing mental fucking ideation, so to speak. Yeah. And as far, you can look as far back as you want and you're still in the context of time. Yeah. You're not going to see it. You're not going to see what's before time. Yeah. But you are what's before time. That's the good news. Yeah. And the way you're going to see is going to be different than the way this sees. As the Course says, your seeing, your vision is independent of the eyes that see the world. Your vision, our vision, is independent of the eyes that see the world. Independent. They're not an auxiliary piece. You're not going to turn the eyes that see the world to see that. You can't. The eyes that see the world have a defined vision, yes? A defined view. It can't escape from that defined view. You are not of that defined view. You are independent of the eyes that see the world. Yet there is seeing or awareness, yeah? Now, what's great is when you are in the path of awareness instead of you being presupposed to be the one who's aware. You now see truly the trick doesn't work anymore. That presupposing of the you being before the awareness and walking around thinking you're aware has been seen through. And now you see the you as after, and the before, bingo, is us. Yes? It's gonna, it's gonna, whatever. I don't know what mountain range you're in, but they're going to come down. Yes. And I wouldn't want to describe how it went with me because it would take away the joy of seeing it happen with you. I had no idea how much interest in self there was. I really didn't. I can't believe it. How much interest there was in this idea. I mean, every fish that was caught, every doing pulled in, every feeling pulled in, every thinking pulled in. I mean, it it was fed. It got wow, wow. And of course, something that's at optimum level of interest cannot imagine non-interest. It can't. It just can't go there because its size is based on the interest, really. Yeah. So, like St. Francis says, it's in self forgetting that we're reborn. Yes. In AA, everything pivots on losing interest in self. Everything. The whole program. It's like a huge dam of possibilities are just waiting for the mental water to go down sufficiently where the dam doesn't work anymore. And then suddenly these possibilities show up in your life. Really with very little thought or effort on your part. Yes? And what you really hope for that was completely crippled by the obsessive interest in self won't come in the packages that you expected it, but it will show up. It's already here, actually. It doesn't even show up. It's already here. You just have the eyes to notice it now. Yeah. Yeah. So that's why we just come here every week. Uh, don't you think I'd like to say something new after 24, 25 years? But I'm on a short leash, seriously. I know when sometimes I step into it, the action figure still, and it always gets put in its right place. Yeah, so basically it hasn't been cropping up much. And you know, that whisper, that super loud, that silence just told me, if you don't see this, you're going to look from it. Yes. And it has proven to be true over the years. Yeah. I used to hope that we could be super people. Yeah. Like all the movies now are like Marvel comics. Everyone wants to become super, like a super spiritual person with some power or stuff like that. I've lost complete interest in that. Yeah. I mean, I much rather wear loose fitting diapers like Ramana than fucking whatever you call those things. What are the leotards? I don't know. It seems a little too tight. Yes, yes. I'm a diaper man myself. Hopefully not ending up there soon. Hope not. Let's hope not. So, uh, so yeah. And what's the great value? All the failures are the greatest values. They are. If you're hell bent on finding what you already are, it's good to finally realize you're not that which is trying to find what it already is. Yeah. This message will do that for you. This understanding will allow you to see the futility of how the head is and how it's using the seeking really to reinforce the idea of the seeker. Yeah. If you notice, it doesn't really want to find much. It just wants to keep finding itself. So, uh, I just don't think you can win in time. I just don't. So, I've tried a lot. I thought I could shoot coke in my neck. Yeah, because I figured that would be faster than in my arm, which it was. The rush would catch you, surprise you how quick the effect of the coke would be. I mean, really. Before you'd have a little moment of Paul getting ready, but there was never yet it didn't work. Yeah. When the altitude came to a point where it had to level off, there I was. I couldn't get out that way. All right, how about 13 hours a day meditating and not eating, losing, let's say, a pound a day, hallucinating my brains out, having mandalas moving different ways, all that. No, no, didn't work. Yes. How about, the getting into the suspension little bed, which I like. Sit there. Who says it's there? What you're not. Who says it's getting out of it? What you're not. Who said it went in it? What you're not. You got to, without this little bit of knowledge before, you're going to have a long, tumultuous after. You are. Yes? You're going to try to undo imaginary knots, on and on and on, and believing that if I get to the 30th knot and it gets released, I'll never have another knot, only to find another fucking knot. Yeah. So, yeah. It's almost like no, this is a bad example, but let's say you've been convicted of something, you finally accept that, and then you live out the rest of your days traveling a little lighter. Yeah. Uh, oh, yeah. All right. Anyone?
We have no hands up, Paul.
Let's say, Michael, if you're in recovery, after a while, most people who are talking to you, it's alcoholism talking to you a lot of the time. Yes? You recognize that. Spread to the rest of the population. It's just the only thing that dwarfs it is the numbers of people. But in a sense, you see the recognition of the self-centeredness being the leading presentation, yes, where the moment is really used for an interpretation of the moment based on past and future, obviously, yeah. So you're in time as time of time, and the head is just attempting to remember you constantly, which it cannot do. So when it doesn't remember you, it forgets that. Shows back up as soon as it comes back and forgets that you didn't remember it. The holes get bigger and bigger, but somehow it just distracts your attention to something in the past or the future, and here we go. Uh, how much more do you need to be convinced? I don't think any of us has to go through any fucking thing more. We have tons of evidence already. Put it in like the wood chopper of non-duality, see what comes out. Let it see, see what essential comes out. Yeah. Hmm. All right. Well, anyone?
Yeah.
Oh, we have
Hi,
Claire.
Hi, Claire. Come on in. I see your hand.
Claire used both hands, the
Yeah,
real and the virtual. Wow.
yeah, she doubled up.
Okay.
I ain't clever. I'll own that.
Okay.
um, Look, this is I was mulling about this just before getting onto the call, and it sounds really simplistic, but it's feeling profound at the moment. I was just, I'm sat here in Australia, it's about noon. That's not what time it is for you. And I just got that saying, okay, so what's real is now. That's
Yeah.
real. That's where we're meeting. We're meeting now.
Yeah.
And clock time is a thing to make getting about in the world work better. And it's just like, oh, okay. So that's it. Just a comment.
Great. Yeah, to me, that's the priorities are in the right position. Yes. Yes. It's really emphasis. The same thing can happen. How it's emphasized gives it all the meaning it has. So you can reach a point where you realize you're never going to get it, and the identity of the seeker flips out about that. Yeah, fucking gets frustrated and super pissed off. Another person has been not a person, but something has been brought to the same point, but it has this understanding, and it's a hallelujah. I'm never going to get it because I am it. Yeah. Wow. Beautiful. Just shift in emphasis, really. Yeah. Shift in emphasis. They talk about in the Course of Miracles, the Holy Spirit is sort of the changer of emphasis, really. Yeah. You're not going to meet God, supposedly, and Jesus may be busy, I don't know what. So the intermediary here in this dreaming is the Holy Spirit they talk about. And the Holy Spirit is going to take the same information the brain takes in, but going to collate it very differently. Yeah. So what the brain will emphasize, it won't see to be that valuable. And after a while, now you get two options instead of one. Yeah. So you're being directed, and yet something else is seeing everything in a different light. And in recovery, we call it trusting the infinite rather than finite self. So you've listened to the finite self's presentation of life to you. Yeah. And now, because of its failures, which is it's hard to override or not see that, you are now leaning another way, and that other way is now emphasizing the same life in a different manner. And one seems to promote traveling lighter, the other one promotes an interpretation of heaviness, literally. So yeah, yeah. You don't choose if you want to call it free will. There's a leaning towards something. You just lean it, and yeah. So yes, everything we ever think about or has never left here and now. Yes, there's never been a Tuesday or a Monday on this here and now, and every there that we arrive at is here when we arrive. Yeah. Yes. Those things can be helpful in a little way, but uh, they're really preaching to the choir if the understanding, the loss of interest in self has occurred. You don't really, you don't need to preach to the choir. You're singing the song already. Yes? Yeah. So, yeah. So if, let's say if you disappeared, stating you disappeared, something has appeared again. Yes? You see that, right? So when the head declares it's disappeared, it's appearing. It's appearing, putting the news out that it had disappeared. Yes. If you don't say anything, it stays disappeared. You don't have to, yes, yeah. If you don't give name and form to thing, you don't know what the thing is, actually. If you want to put name and form on everything, you may get bit in the ass by the name and form later. Yeah. Yeah, the don't know is a very, like Zen, it's like the highest form of the head, mind, let's say, here. Don't know. I don't know actually what's going on. And there goes on and on and on like that. But I do know when something is given name and form, it's also given a life, I think, in a lot of ways that it may not have when it's nameless and formless. Yeah. And I truly believe a lot of things that have really wreaked havoc in people's lives got that permission by being named and putting form in. Yeah. I like to keep it a little uh, unclear because I think I've probably been terminally ill 800 times, probably. Yeah. Things were passing and that they weren't stopped and a book wasn't written about it and then something else came. Yeah. So name and form is yeah, it's a trippy thing. If you ever read about dependent origination, the Buddhist thing, they talk about name and form as the starter of this whole cycle. Yes, consciousness, and then there's given name and form, and so on and so forth. And here we go on the wheel of life. We're a powerful mojo, like it or not. Yeah. I know the head wants to think it's all I'm everything, but not much to think about this shit. But in fact, what we are as the get the which a lot of meaning comes through this little filter. Yeah, like the course says, you and I give everything all the meaning. Yeah, so we are really the center of dreaming here. Yeah, yeah. And maybe you could just, when they say, all right, who wants to start giving name and form, just don't put up your virtual hand or your other hand. Let the name and form just go on. All right, what job you want? I don't want name and form. How about not understanding the formless? Yeah, that's good. Sign me up. Sign me up for that one. Yeah. So these things I've watched in time. Just you're here, there's observing. You don't need an observer. There's already observing. The observer is is like a mental formality. Yeah, there's observing. Yeah. You will know what works sooner or later. You will in a lot of levels. Like an animal knows when it's dying, it goes outside usually, or doesn't, you don't see it and it stops eating. It knows something and it goes along with that. Yeah. 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 Mm. So the idea that you give name and form, that's name and form giving name and form, don't you see? The idea of you is already named and formed. So, yeah, if you're thinking you're going to stop giving name and form as a name and form, forget about it. Just see you're not the name and form. I don't know what we are, but mm, mm, yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Claire. And oh, we got David Lowe coming in.
Hey, David.
So, Paul, you said something like maybe two or 3 weeks ago to the effect
Oh,
that when the selfing happens, it never quite solidifies all the way,
it
right?
can't. Yes, it can.
And so it never quite completely does its mission. But what if it did? I guess I don't quite know what I'm asking, but it strikes me that maybe.
We'd all be trading strategies of how to get out of self. I'm definitely sure of that. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's say that a a solidified creation came into being that, not that there wasn't any way to get out of it, but it would seem that just um yeah, if you could react to that somehow, I
Yeah,
get.
it's already imagined. We're representing that imagining right now. The head is imagining you're already a being, a thing. Yes? It doesn't have to do it. There's no reality in this dreaming. Imagination is enough, and it has us imagining ourselves as being a thing already. It doesn't it already won its bet, so to speak.
Okay, yeah.
It's
All
sitting
right, I
back
get
smoking a big cigar and checking out how everything's going.
it.
Yeah. You don't need you've what you just said has already been imagined. The action figure is living that out. Yeah.
Sorry.
Saying
Oh
you're
my
not
God.
that, yeah, you're not the action figure. That's the only difference. Yeah. I'm not trying to convince that which can't be convinced to be something it isn't, or to be something it isn't, or to become, or to be something it already is. I lost interest in all that. It doesn't work. Maybe it worked for someone. I don't know. I do not know. But I sniffed the trail. It goes on endlessly. I don't want to. It's like, when you two mirrors are just infinitely reflecting, it will just go on and on and on. So it does, in dreaming, nothing is real. If something is imagined to be real, it's reached its highest level of dreaming. Yes. We are the epitome of that imagining. Yeah. I believed every time I made a move without knowing it, it was rooted in being a thing. I had no idea. Yes. And that being a thing overrode every move that I made. It didn't seem like I could get before it as a thing and change its mechanics. And then finally, I entertained the possibility that I'm not a thing. Yeah. And then I started to see what I used to look from. Yeah. And I was met with a lot of Pauls, a lot of, oh, that's Paul, oh, that's Paul, somehow Paul. And it got sifted through certain things to a certain point where there was a convincing. Actually, it wasn't a convincing. I just, uh, I tripped over that unsuspected resource that is convinced. Yeah. And it brought some certainty into this to the point it changed a lot of behavior. Yeah, and usually the only way my behavior would be changed if I was in a program or something. If someone had mastery over me, my behavior would change. If I was running around myself, it was the same old, same old. Yet a lot of behavior changed without any thought or effort, just by seeing what was getting revealed. Yeah, and I'm just sharing what that was. Yeah, I saw there's a claiming mechanical, probably one of the quickest moves in time, yet it can never outdraw timelessness, because in timelessness the gun is already out. There's no pulling it out of the holster. Yeah. So the greatest gunslinger in time will always lose to the timeless gunslinger. And so it is. Yeah. So yeah, when we're sitting here, we're really the presupposing of a non-existent thing being an existent thing. Yep. That's where we're at. So we tell the truth about that, and he uses the way of seeing that a little bit and breaks the news to you. Your spiritual practices themselves are reinforcing this idea. How are they going to destroy it? With the hopes that you've worn those sneakers, spiritual sneakers, long enough, and you realize they don't have the ability to take you where you already are. Yeah. And so the news crashes on your little shore. You absorb it like the wave a shore does with a wave, and you take it in, and you'll probably observe some of your behaviors will change. Yeah. Like you may feel like you're rudderless for a while, or all the pumped up meaning that was given to things gets deflated, and you may feel like I feel like um, um, whatever you call it when you're dead, flatlining it. Yeah, so you may have a period of time because you were getting a lot of reflection of an identity by what you did. That changes, and you're sort of like unmoored for a while. But if you don't do anything stupid, you go through somewhere else, and then uh, you know one of the biggest effects on the action figure. I wanted to get out of here since I was about 6, literally, but it became my profession about 14 or 15. I really wanted to get out of here. I would do anything if it would change my mind or how I felt and shit like that. And I was really into it, really. Yeah. And it was a strong drive for years. Went through addiction, spirituality, drug addiction, spirituality, drug addiction. Uh, and even with and all the spirituality, there was a wanting to use this as a vehicle to get somewhere better and bigger. Yes. But always, I was always included in all the journeys and all the destinations. Then it dawned, then that was broken. It was really cool. And I was in this position of sharing stuff with people, and there was still that hope that, oh yeah, this is just a subtle way of seeking, this is like a non-seeking seeking. And then it crashed, and nope, you're locked into Novato, California, my friend. And somehow I didn't die or anything, and there was an adapting to that. Yeah. So I've actually been here for 20 years, maybe, out of the 70s, something. Really. I just the the that ghost was given up, and it never got back. Yeah. So now when I have a new inmate come into my cell and they start talking about escape, I have no interest in listening to their escape plan, because I realize there's no escape from an imaginary place. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to what we're going to eat today and what I'm going to do outside in the yard and maybe how I can be helpful to others. Yes. So, yeah.
You ready for another question, Paul? Travis has his hand up.
I've never been ready for any questions, but yeah.
Okay. Hey, Travis.
Howdy. Well, good, because it's not a question, just a quick share.
Okay.
A couple of days ago, I got hit with a little, or I guess a big wave of just being down, depression, self-pity. And there was a moment, I guess it's called a pause, but just what you're saying of like one of the first times having it come into my experience of like, oh yeah, I may not be this whole movement of whatever, the movement of mind, the movement of BS that feels so real and so painful. And then within the next like 20-30 minutes, I'm just laughing at like some stupid comedy thing. And like that thing that could have been the trigger for like being bummed out for the rest of the day, the next couple days, was just felt and seen through, and just sort of like not even let go, but just like, oh yeah, it just is felt and goes away, and that's fine. And it was one of the first times of being like, oh yeah, wow, like something that just the story of us. And yeah, I was meditating this morning, and something that came sort of connected with that, and the story that is constantly like being resuscitated over and over and over all day long, and getting a sense of that which is ever present, and it's like this freshness, it's like ever new, but all the story and all that BS is like this, it's not fresh or new, it's like this weight sort of, but there's a freshness and newness and almost like childlikeness presence or something, and it's hard to describe its qualities, but it was sort of like a sense of something like that. And yeah, I just wanted to share those two things. So thank you, Paul.
Great. Yes, and you described it good. Yeah, it's the feeling of it is the paramount, or the sense of it. Yeah. Yeah, that's traveling lighter. That's what happens. Yes. It's not a self trying to take itself less seriously. It's seeing how serious the self is, and then it's taken to be less serious. Yeah. Yeah. Great. I've been a success then on this job.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all. That's and what will break sooner or later, the idea that if you're feeling really good, there's going to be the opposite feeling. That gets broken also. Yes. The duality of, oh, I'm really great, but I'm still fucked up. That fear of you have to tithe this god of the head, that's gonna break also. Yes. Yeah. The point is just don't act out whatever that means to you. For me, it would be drug use probably, and don't die. And this thing is going to proceed. Yeah. Because you're on to something, literally.
Yeah, it was interesting seeing it in the moment, because normally it's like you're just swept away in it. But then there's something that sort of popped up and it's just like, oh yeah, this is the movement that may not be me. It's just the just movement happening.
Yes. Great. Yes. Well, you started getting a beat on it, and then after a while, yeah, it's just I don't know. In time, there's going to be a feeling like a journey, but you never arrive, nor do you ever depart. But there's a feeling of something moving, and you'll appreciate the traveling lighter. And if you need to have any comparison, you can look at others and see what could possibly be happening. Yeah. There's enough shit that can go on in a day. It doesn't need any more addition to it. Really. I mean, it's like piling on. Yeah. So today it was funny. I called a friend of mine and I had some little ideas I was thinking of doing. And then in a very nice way, he deflated both balloons. I said, next time I'm not going to call you when this stuff comes up. But one of them I agree with really quickly. But the other one I'm still holding out. Maybe, maybe not. But one was obviously true. I didn't want to know something that I knew already. Because I wanted to do something. Yeah. And it would be completely okay to do it. It doesn't matter. Yes? Yeah, it doesn't matter. What you are doesn't get wronged or righted. It's not, yeah. We're in a place of balances and scales and comparison and dualistically seeing things. That's not our nature. Yeah. We're not two-faced. We're not two-sided. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think there's a ledger of all your mistakes that is going to be read to you when you appear. Because I don't think you're ever appearing again. Tell you the truth. Yeah. Do you ever look around and do you see people that you've seen before here? Like a lot of people have passed away. It doesn't look like it's a giant universal vacation spot that people like to come back to. It's not like going to Sunshine Coast in Australia. You see people and then you never see them again. You never see that face again. This is what used to always blow my mind with the that guy Nicolas Cage. He's an angel, and then he meets Meg Ryan, and he decides to give up his eternal bliss to go to sleep with her. Give me a fucking break. Do you think any do you, do you really? I mean, it just blows my mind. The self-centeredness. So it's like a fucking eternal blissful non-organic creature would like to give up all that for one night in Bangkok with Meg Ryan. uh, I think if people saw what we are from not a person, they wouldn't be probably too attracted to it. Literally. Yeah, really. The only way you could be attracted to it is become myopic, because a lot of what we are seemingly, yeah, yeah, I can go off on that, but yes, the idea of like when someone's dying and the person's holding them and say, "You can't do this to me," this is self-centeredness in the extreme. Oh, your dying is going to cause me problems. I thought we were going to play pickleball, whatever, in the afternoon. I'm sorry, I have to check out now. Should have planned it better. This is insane. Or the lady, I used to go to this meeting of recovery, and I lived in a town that had a mountain. So to go to San Francisco, you'd have to drive over this mountain or around it, and the roads were crazy and stuff. And this lady would be complaining that all these deers were running into her car. And I said, "Well, I don't think the deer sees it that way. I think the deer sees it, the car's running into the deer." But you know, it's insane, isn't it? Do you see the emphasis? You don't realize you're thinking there's a path. This is dreaming. It's all emphasis and value and meaning. Yes? There's heaven and hell on the same plate. The same plate has both dishes, heaven and hell. It's just you shift the peas over to where the turkey is and put a little fucking, that's hell. It's emphasis, it's meaning, it's this isn't a major, like, it's not moving a giant rock. It's just it's a simple shifting of perception. Yes? Yeah. This non-duality is powerful mojo, seriously. To me, it's the most powerful concoction I've run into here, by far. Non-duality. First of all, it has non in front of it, which is unbelievable. Yeah? I never was introduced to non-Christianity or non-Judaism or non-exercise or non-health. It was always health, exercise, but not to. What? Hallelujah. Out of all of these thousands of things, it's the one thing that's a negation. Yeah. And all these thousand things haven't worked. So wait, check it out. Yes. Maybe the problem with the you is you're not you, really. That's the problem. Maybe it's so desirable to want to be a you that you rehab and change and get better, but maybe it's not you is the problem to the head. I truly believe that. The head is no interest in being what we are. It has a lot of interest in becoming something, for sure. But being is no bueno. It doesn't give a shit. It wants to use this moment to think about other moments. It has no interest in this. No interest in it. That's the clue that you're onto something. When after a few weeks of going to non-duality, you're fucking, what's the point? Yes? The experiential junkie will not stay long. They won't. The blissful ones who are trying to extract bliss, they will come to non-duality, and after a week or so, they're leaving. They're going, because that's not what they're looking for. They want experience. They want this, they want that. This is nothing, nothing, nothing. Yeah. To some, it's super dry. It's all based on how you're seeing it. Yeah. Emptiness could be seen like super dry nothing, but it's unbelievable. It's all emphasis, all. Yeah. Tell the truth about the emphasis that has been pre-programmed as you. You're looking through a built-in emphasis and emphasizing. Yeah. And so what it doesn't want you to see, it tries to make it unnoticeable and then just constantly looking the other way. Tell the truth. Check it out. Yeah. It doesn't like the light on it. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. It gets very, very angst. It's first of all, its nature is chaotic. It's agitated. The mental state's nature is agitation. It's in a desiring to become and unbecome. That's what it is. It's like a slinky, and it's the only thing it's looking for is an incline, so it can keep going like this. That's all. It's desiring to become something that it already is and trying to become to unbecome something that it ain't. Just goes on and on and on. Like Buddhism said, what's the cause of all the suffering? Desire. What is the original desire? The desire to become and unbecome. Yeah? You already are. That's why it has no interest in it. You already are. It has a desire to become and unbecome. It cannot become or unbecome what it already is. Therefore, it has not very little interest in it at all. Yeah. Let that fucking thing go. At least see it and just move where you're going to be moved to. Yeah. All right.
Hey,
Anyone?
Paul, Lisa has her hand up. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Michael, thank you. Hey, Paul, how you doing? You're doing great. I mean, I love listening to you tonight, man.
Well,
Um,
keep listening.
so shut up. Okay, I can do that too.
There you go. If you love it, keep listening.
You know how much I love you. I could listen to you.
Oh, good, good. Well, what's up, honey?
So there's just like, yeah, things are really light these days. What I am can really see what all this shit is that you're talking about. And like you said, emptiness is not all that alluring until you kind of really let it overtake you. Um, One thing that I just wanted to kind of ask you about. So, like I said, there's a lot of lightness, very little reactivity, and yeah, a good place. And occasionally there's like a sense, like there's just a niggling, like something's not quite right or something like that. And I know not to listen to that or believe it because it's a thought, but it seems to kind of follow around like it's a residual mind game trying to pull me back into some of its bullshit. And again, I don't take it seriously.
Apply it just like you apply everything at what you're not. So that is what you're not. Yeah.
Sure, exactly. Yeah, that's great. It's just a very simple seeing that that's not what I am. It's trying to pull me into some kind of becoming or some kind of change or not liking something or just wanting to pull me back into the game.
Well, the thing is, honey, you and I are before it.
We
It
are.
it cannot get before that.
That's
So
right.
whatever it presents is after you. It
That I
wants
can,
yes, it wants you to move and make it the before by getting engaged with it. But you just keep stepping back, and it's always going to be, yeah, in time. You're going to be before it. Yes. Yeah.
yes.
And this is the thing, you'll recognize your reach is much longer than you ever thought. Yeah.
What do you mean by that exactly?
In other words, you can there's more you can go back into. You can,
Right, the depth of the getting back away from all the show.
yes, it's of time. It
Yes.
wants you to enter time, and then it's going to be before you as you. When you stay out of time, which you are, it's always after you, and therefore not you. That's
Yeah.
pretty simple gauge. And you don't have to apply it all the time. It's applied when necessary, and then there's a conviction in it sets up. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and that conviction's really getting stronger and stronger.
yes, of course. It gets stronger and stronger because that which was feeding the after is now just resting in the before. Of course.
Yeah.
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 It wants to engage. It wants to engage. It wants you to come out and into time, and then it'll run you around. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I just see that what gets run around has never been me. It's
Yeah.
always not been me. And there you go. I don't need to look at, Hmm. If it's coming to the border crossing, I don't need to look at its papers. I know it's not a citizen of the yes. I don't have to go through and hear a new story. I
Right.
don't. It's like it's a soup Nazi, very clear. Yeah,
Nice. Thank you.
yeah.
You know how much I love you.
Well, I don't know how much. I haven't, but I do. I'll try to bring out the ruler. We'll check it out later. I'll see.
Well,
Uh,
I'll send you that picture again
oh yeah, we
of
have
our first trip to Italy
I remember, yeah, in Puglia.
and I don't remember what happened that day, but it flooded your words, your presence, your words, not you, but what who
Yeah.
you really are, flooded me, and I've really never been the same. And it's a continues to happen.
It's
So
awesome, honey. Yes, and I feel the same way in another way. Yes. Do you know what I
sure,
mean? Yes.
yeah, of course. So that's what I mean when I say
Yeah.
and you do know how much I love you. Just it's fine that you don't.
It's all yeah, yeah. I love the magic of satsang. I've seen a
I
lot
do
of
too.
it. And what better thing to do but participate in a loving expression of something greater than
Yeah.
ourselves?
And it doesn't have anything to do with this humanness at all. It's a very much not that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Thank
as
you.
Jesus suppose he said, you're in this world, but not of the world. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Thank
it would be nice to have the not of the world while in the world as the emphasis, the not of the world being emphasized while in the world.
and it's flipping over. I mean, it's flipping over to that. It's
Yeah,
it's it's
good.
definitely, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a work in progress because it seems like it's already present. It's just sort of being uncovered slowly or something to its fullness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in time, it's dreaming oneself out of the dream. Out of time, nothing ever happened. Yeah, they both can occur at the same time. So, in one sense, you're dreaming yourself out of this dreaming, and the other sense is nothing ever happened. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best part. Nothing ever happened.
Yeah. So, thank you,
How
honey.
can you find it? You can't find it. Thank you, sweetie. Great talking to you.
Hmm. Anyone else? Oh, yeah.
No, that's it, Paul. No hands.
We have another storm coming in here. Yeah. Are you getting rain in Madeira, Mike?
No, no,
Oh,
it's supposed to rain tomorrow, but who knows?
I wish you could hear the chimes. The chimes go off here. It's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's say goodbye. Jim Elliott, nice to see you, my friend. I love our little Australian contingency. We got Claire, we got Rob, we've got Jim, we've got that lady from she was there yesterday, a lovely lady that just showed up a week or so ago. Eric and Vista, nice to see you, my friend.
You too. Thank you so much for
Travis,
singing.
Travis, it's a pleasure to run into you. Yes. Keep keep showing up, eh? We got Mia. Mia's sitting in the car, I think. Judy Love, fixing something. Nice to see you, Judy. Yes. Robert Ryan. Right, Robert Ryan. Mika in Finland. He's doing his regimen of whatever. I don't know what he was doing there. We got David Bitterman. David Bitterman. I'm gonna be in there April 17th and stuff. So call me up sooner or later. I'll tell you the schedule.
Oh,
We haven't
perfect.
put it up. Yeah.
17th.
April, yeah. I'm gonna be
Okay.
in Dover and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think you're doing anything before or after, or you're
After
not
we're
sure
gonna
yet?
do, yeah, we're gonna go do Dover 17th, I mean the 18th, 19th, 20th. Then I have some time. I think I may do something in New York City. Then the weekend after Philadelphia, I gotta do something on Saturday, and then
Okay.
we'll leave Sunday. So we may just truck around, and
Okay.
that's fine too in the East for that week between the two weekends.
Okay. Cool. Yeah,
Hoping
we got
Amelia
some.
comes. Amelia's gonna come on Monday and leave with me on Sunday. So
Okay.
she'll miss Dover, but then she's gonna come and we can go up. Maybe we'll do up in whatever. We'll figure
Yeah.
something.
No, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. We got some weird movements with family and kids around there, but I'm definitely gonna catch some portion of it. So we'll figure it out.
Yeah, great, bro.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you, man. Appreciate
Yeah,
it. Thank you,
yeah.
Paul.
Alan Olson, the man who never got it. Fantastic. James Parker, nice to see you, James. Mike Clark, as always, nice to see you. Stephen Mack, Annette, David Lowe, Saraswati, Ernie, David Bitterman, Keith, yes, our man, Robert Ryan, I got him, Judy Love, Saraswati. I don't know how I can get the other page. But listen, thank you. Thanks so much for hanging out. If you're frustrated or confused, that's great news, really. Just let the shit that's in the weeds come out and greet it with I'm not that. Yeah, yeah, yep. You got to bring them out of the weeds though. And so non-duality is sort of like an astringent, sucks the shit out. Yeah, take a good look. There you go. All right, thank you, everyone. See you.